Breaking news today. Ukrainian progress is improving, but it is still slow. The tanks can't tear a hole in the enemy line like they did in the wars of the middle of the 20th century, and the front can't roll back hundreds of kilometers before stabilizing again. The breakthrough is currently occurring in Ukraine, albeit slowly. It has taken Ukrainian infantry 10 weeks to advance 10 kilometers through dense and heavily defended Russian minefields on the front in western Zaporizhia, making them no faster than the British Army at the Battle of the Somme in 1916. But now, just to the west of the fortified village of Verbov, the Ukrainians have broken through the main Russian line and expanded the breach wide enough to start moving heavy equipment through it. Don't picture Ukrainian tank columns racing across the landscape. Behind this line are further, less well-built Russian entrenchments, and even more trenches are being dug farther south right now. Unless the Russian army suddenly disbands, those days are over. While the Rasputitsa, rain and mud season, is expected to arrive next month, effectively ending all off-road movement for vehicles until the winter frees up, the Ukrainians will now be able to advance at a faster rate, perhaps a few kilometers per week. Ukrainian foot soldiers can still move across the country, so that will slow down their advance again, but it probably won't stop it. The original plan to cut off all Russian occupation forces west of the Black Sea this year has failed, but they may get far enough to starve the Russians to submission. The only railroad link between Russian forces and occupied western Ukraine is within range of Ukrainian HIMARS rocket artillery. The main road west along the Black Sea coast can be reached if they push on for another 15 or 20 kilometers. The Kerch Bridge connecting Russian-occupied Crimea to Ukraine can be destroyed once Washington delivers the promised ATACMS long-range, 300 kilometers missiles to Kiev. As the western half of the bridge is located within Ukraine, Kyiv would not be violating its agreement with President Biden to refrain from striking targets within Russia with U.S. weapons. About half of the Russian troops in Ukraine would be effectively cut off at that point, possibly before the end of the year, with severely limited access to food, water, and ammunition. Though far from guaranteed, this is a distinct possibility. Even though Russia has more than 3 times as many people as Ukraine, its troops in Ukraine barely outnumber the Ukrainian defenders, and they are nearly exhausted. Russian generals will be aware of this threat. Russia's success in this war isn't absolutely necessary. It's just another ill-fated military expedition abroad, like the invasions of Egypt by Britain and France in 1956 and Afghanistan and Iraq by the United States in 2001 to 2003. But Putin's reputation and life depend on him winning this war, so he'll be in the most jeopardy if and when he realizes he's going to lose. Would his closest advisors support him if he decided to risk everything on a nuclear escalation that could have disastrous consequences? The Russian elite may be talking apocalyptically at the moment, but their country was the inspiration for doublethink from George Orwell's 1984. Orwell never set foot in Russia, but he was dead on. All those Russian talking heads who now say Russia's survival is at stake also know that it's not threatened at all. Thus, they are not likely to endanger their families to ensure Putin's safety.